With new details regarding Bray Wyatt's return to WWE and more, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report for October 11th. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. Speaking on the Not Sam Wrestling podcast, AEW star MJF spoke about an upcoming role in a movie he'll have, saying, "It's business, the pro wrestling business. It's also a sport, don't get me wrong. Within that sport, there's a business, and my goal has always been to make the most amount of money, to then use that to transcend and enter into the Hollywood sphere, and then literally leave all of my fans in the dust and pretend I never knew they existed in the first place. I don't even like wrestling. Here's the thing, I studied it. I had to in order to be the best. I think through studying it, I grew an appreciation towards professional wrestling, but once I'm done, you will never see me again. I am using this sport like a succubus. I'm sucking the life out of it, the blood, the money, and then it will be gone. I've already booked a huge movie. I'm not allowed to announce what it is, but it will be happening and it will be happening soon. Again, I'm not allowed or at liberty to say if ICM Partners agent Brian Dipperstein helped at this moment. If he did, I'll tell you this, he did a great job. So I have that going on. The people at Warner Bros. Discovery are like crazy high on MJF. They're coming up with potential ideas for MJF outside of the wrestling sphere. There's also a podcasting opportunity that has been thrown my way that I'm considering. So I'm honestly, and I'm not saying this to be funny, because again, when we had our first interview back in 2019, I believe, I said a bunch of stuff, and I'm sure people watched and went, what a funny character this is. I'm dead serious. You're going to find out everything that I'm talking about in a few months' time was completely and entirely real, because everything about me is completely and entirely real. I am MJF 24/7, and what happens when you're MJF 24/7 is you get insane opportunities. And there's a lot of people in Los Angeles that want a piece of Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Talking about AEW President Tony Khan, former WCW President Eric Bischoff took a shot at him on his podcast, saying Tony in particular says so much stupid shit. It's hard not to call him out about it, like wanting to win the Dave Meltzer Dirt Sheet Booker of the Year award 3 years in a row. Are you kidding me? That kind of stuff makes it hard, not only for people like me who have been in the industry, but even fans start to go, what? Meantime, my locker room is beating the shit out of each other. I got to fire people every week, and those that I'm not firing, I'm suspending. I don't know, Dirt Sheet Booker of the Year? Is that something I'd be talking about? I don't think so. With former Raw commentator Jimmy Smith recently saying that Roman Reigns is just a big muscular dude that can't fight, he's been receiving flack from fans. He recently took to Twitter and addressed this in a couple of videos. Here are the clips.
Hey, and they may have started last night, I don't know, about Roman Reigns, or me being upset and disrespecting Roman Reigns. I got all these angry messages, and I went, what the fuck is going on? And I Googled myself and Roman Reigns, and the first thing that popped up is this Bleacher Report article that I assume is being picked up everywhere. It says, Jimmy Smith says Roman Reigns, big muscular guy, not a fighter. Or the other way around, not a fighter, big muscular guy. And it had a quote of mine from my radio show, all chopped up, and essentially me talking about DC as a fighter and Roman Reigns, and there's no context at all. And it said comparing fighters and performers in this way is disrespectful to both of them. What it completely leaves out, and I haven't read every article, so I don't know, maybe some of them do. I was asked if DC would take on Brock Lesnar in WWE now, because obviously DC, the guest referee at Extreme Rules, and Brock's there. And what I had said was no, because they don't look like they should be in the same ring. Because visually, DC doesn't look like he can take on Brock Lesnar. And that is a huge part of WWE, because it's performance and can this guy look like he can beat this other guy. Now, DC beats Brock Lesnar in a fight, in my opinion, even in both of their respective primes. But I said visually it doesn't work. Like Cain Velasquez didn't really work against Brock Lesnar. You know, it just, the MMA side of it, it doesn't make sense. So what I had said was, Roman Reigns looks like a monster. That's why it works when he's in there with Brock Lesnar in that biggest WrestleMania main event. This guy's a great performer, all this stuff. But your actual ability to fight doesn't necessarily translate to a WWE audience. They're not going to go, whoa, DC's a badass. They're going to go, who's this smaller heavyweight with a dad bod? Why is he taking on this guy who looks like a He-Man doll in real life? So what they totally left out was I was asked a question about, will we see DC versus Brock Lesnar? And I said no, because so much of it in the WWE is visual. It's performance. It's how does Roman Reigns look? Not how well can he fight. That has nothing to do with it. So that was the context in which I said that. Was people were asking me about DC and Brock Lesnar. And there's this like disconnect between not how well can he fight. That has nothing to do with it. So that was the context in which I said that. Was people were asking me about DC and Brock Lesnar. And there's this like disconnect between fighting ability and the ability to look like you can fight, which is what the WWE is about. Big, huge, monstrous looking guys. It looks amazing, and that's what they do. You know, so it was kind of funny, but I felt the need to respond to that because I think it's kind of hilarious. So anyway, I have no idea if Roman Reigns can fight in real life, but he's not a professional fighter at all. And he doesn't need to be. He's a performer. And another thing that's kind of funny is people have these ideas that an MMA locker room and a pro wrestling locker room are really different. Really different. People act like they're these testosterone-fueled monsters backstage at WWE. Maybe they were in the 70s and 80s and, you know, back in kayfabe days when, you know, they were supposed to somehow project this kind of toughness. They're performers. They're really not, you know, in each other's faces. There's none of that. They're discussing matches and everybody's like really relaxed. So anyway, it's very, very interesting, people that confuse these things. But yeah, that was the context in which I said Roman Reigns isn't a fighter, is Roman Reigns looks amazing and he cuts a great promo and he's an amazing performer. And that visual of him and Brock and WrestleMania, that's what makes it work. DC just has the ability to actually fight, but he doesn't look like it. And that's what I think would prevent a future DC Brock Lesnar match. Now you know.
Following her win over Liv Morgan at Extreme Rules, Ronda Rousey is the SmackDown Women's Champion. According to PW Insider, there has been a change in the direction of her character. With it noted that, although it has been obvious for some time this was the direction she was going in, we are told that SmackDown Women's Champion Ronda Rousey is now considered a heel internally. We were also told that WWE has heard the voice of the fans, and that going forward, Sheamus, Ridge Holland, and Butch are 100% officially babyfaces. With the Good Brothers Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson returning to WWE on Raw last night to come to the aid of AJ Styles, Fightful is reporting how long WWE was considering bringing them back. WWE had interest in them as early as this summer, when they were still under Impact Wrestling deals. The two were very transparent about the interest towards the end of their Impact Wrestling contracts, which ended up going a month longer than expected. When speaking on his Click This podcast about allegations of him destroying WCW, WWE Hall of Famer Kevin Nash revealed, people would say Nash single-handedly destroyed WCW, like it would upset me. I'm thinking like, wow, like you're almost giving me like, that's almost Trump status. So like, I not only killed like a wrestling show that at one point had beaten Vince McMahon for 83 weeks, I also forced them to sell the Braves, the Hawks, everything that wasn't bolted down. With many hoping to see a WrestleMania showdown between Roman Reigns and The Rock, the Great One recently spoke to Chris Van Vliet about Reigns and if he acknowledged him, as he said, "Of course I do. That's my family. I think those guys are doing a great job, and I think what an interesting shift that the company has gone through this year. Unexpected in many ways, but when unexpectations happen in that kind of way, form, and fashion, especially in that business, you've got to have the ability and the agility to pivot, which they have. So, with Roman, I think he's doing a pretty good job, and the boys too, the Usos as well." As Tough Enough winner Sara Lee sadly passed away recently at the age of 30, many in the wrestling community contributed to her GoFundMe, as her family has now issued a statement writing, "On behalf of the Weston and Lee family, we would like to express our deepest gratitude for the love that has been shown Corey, Sarah, and their beautiful children. Corey is taking a step back from social media but is blown away by the generosity everyone has shown. Through the darkest times, you guys have been a ray of light. Thank you. Will never be enough." With the Generation X reunited on Raw last night, Triple H and Shawn Michaels would share a heartfelt moment after the show went off the air. As Bray Wyatt made his return to WWE at Extreme Rules, Ringside News provided an update on how this came about, writing, "A report recently came out saying that Vince McMahon's retirement opened the door for Bray Wyatt's return. That isn't the case, because we were told the negotiations for Bray's return were already deep and being finalized when Vince retired or resigned." And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.